Hey folks, last Saturday at the Angel City Zen Center, somebody came up to me after the talk and sit and stuff and asked me about the concept of a stream enterer. And I don't know if I gave him a great answer. I basically said that this is a concept from early Buddhism that we in the Zen stream of Buddhism don't tend to use very much, and that the only thing I think is maybe kind of equivalent in Zen Buddhism is this concept of Hotsubodaishin, which means establishing the mind of the truth, or establishing the Bodhi mind. But I spent some time looking up stuff about stream entry. And most of what I found about stream entry comes from this book, In the Buddha's Words, an anthology of discourses from the Pali Canon, edited and translated by Bhikkhu Bodhi. It's published by Wisdom Publications, who published Hardcore Zen, and they also published a whole series of these translations and stuff by Bhikkhu Bodhi. I guess it's edited and introduced. I'm not sure who did the translation. Anyway, Bhikkhu Bodhi's responsible for it, so his name goes on the cover. But they did a whole bunch of these, and this one is sort of the greatest hits version. The other ones go into more detail, but this one kind of contains the basic stuff. And here's what Bhikkhu Bodhi has to say about stream entry. The cultivation of wisdom, as we have seen, well, we haven't seen because we didn't, well, you do it comes at the end of the book anyway, so you would have seen if you'd read the book, aims at the realization of Nibbana, aka Nirvana. The Nikayas, which are early Buddhist scriptures, stipulate a fixed series of stages through which a person passes on the way toward attainment of Nibbana, Nirvana. In passing through these stages, one evolves from an uninstructed worldling, blind to the truths of Dharma, into an arahant, a liberated one who has attained full comprehension of the Four Noble Truths and realized Nibbana in this present life. So, the idea is to realize Nirvana in the present life. That's early Buddhism's goal, stated goal. And here are the four stages. 1. Stream enterer. Has eliminated identity view, doubt, wrong grasp of rules and observances, will be reborn at most 7 more times among humans and devas. Devas are kind of godlike sort of creatures. 2. Once returner, has eliminated same fetters as stream enterer, but also weakens sensual lust, hatred, and delusion, will have no more than 1 more rebirth in the sense sphere realm. So birth as a person or a god, a deva. Number 3. Non-returner, has eliminated the same fetters as the once returner and has eliminated 2 more fetters, sensual lust and ill will. Will have spontaneous birth in the form realm, so I guess beyond the realm of humans and devas, I think. Number 4, Arahant, has eliminated the 5 lower fetters as mentioned above. Oh, well, I guess you get 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, somehow you get 5. As well as the 5 higher fetters, which are desire for existence in the form realm, desire for existence in the formless realm, conceit, restlessness, ignorance. So those are 5 there. Will not have another rebirth in the form realm, which, makes me like to bring up the thing I bring up a lot, which is when reincarnation ideas started to become trendy in the West, and still today, people kind of receive them and go, oh yay, I get to be reborn again, without realizing that the teachings in the East that teach reincarnation, which are Buddhism, Hinduism, and Jainism, in their view, reincarnation is a bad thing. You don't want to get reincarnated. So people who are kind of excited about the fact that they get reincarnated are kind of getting it wrong. But that's a little aside. And how do you do this? How do you attain these 4 levels? To abandon the lower fetters, a monk first attains one of the 4 jhanas, or one of the 3 lower formless attainments. And Bhikkhu Bodhi quotes from the Buddha, says, here with seclusion from acquisitions, with the abandoning of unwholesome states, with the complete tranquility of body inertia, secluded from sensual pleasures, secluded from unwholesome states, a monk enters and dwells in the first jhana, which is accompanied by thought and examination with rapture and happiness born of seclusion. And it kind of goes on from there. Now, what does all this mean? Well, you may be asking, and I'll be glad to tell you. I want to read to you something that I have written for my book, Stop Hitting Yourself, which is my hopefully next book. I have been working on it a lot over the past 9 months or so, or 9 months, 18 months, a long time, and hopefully it'll come out one of these days. So I'm just going to read you what I wrote, because it kind of explains what I just said and gives you my opinion on it, and what the hell, I wrote it. I might as well read it. Now, I'm talking in this section of the book about what they call right samadhi in the Eightfold Path. Right balanced state is what Nishijima Roshi liked to call it. Samadhi sometimes means meditation or meditative state, and here we go. In early Buddhism, right samadhi was described as follows. There is a case where a monk, quite withdrawn from sensuality, withdrawn from unskillful mental qualities, enters and remains in the first jhana, rapture and pleasure born from withdrawal, accompanied by directed thought and evaluation. So this word jhana is the same as the word dhyana, which is the same as the word chan in Chinese. These are the first two are Pali and Sanskrit words. Chan in Chinese and Zen in Japanese. So it means meditation. With the stilling of directed thoughts and evaluations, he enters and remains in the second jhana, which is rapture and pleasure born of composure, unification of awareness, free from directed thought and evaluations, internal assurance. With the fading of rapture, he remains equanimous, mindful, and alert, and senses pleasure with the body. He enters and remains in the third jhana, of which the noble ones declare equanimous and mindful, he has a pleasant abiding. With the abandoning of pleasure and pain, as with the earlier disappearance of elation and distress, he enters and remains in the fourth jhana, purity of equanimity and mindfulness, neither pleasure nor pain. This is called right concentration or right samadhi. It's the fold of the Eightfold Path that we've been talking about, okay? So, as I said, jhana is the pronunciation of the same word as Zen, and you might expect that the Zen Buddhists, being the jhana Buddhists, would be all about the jhanas, but they're not. And here's what I wrote in my book. In fact, though, in the Zen tradition, we rarely talk about jhanas, at least not in the sense of there being distinct levels. As you can figure out from context, in older forms of Buddhism, the various jhanas were different states or levels of meditation. In this example, they seem to lead from one to the other, getting better and better, until at last you end up in the fourth jhana, which is the bestest jhana of them all. The problem with this system for me is that it involves comparing things that cannot be compared. How do you judge which number of jhana that you're in? I suppose you could compare it to the descriptions you've heard or read about that jhana. For example, you could ask yourself if you're feeling rapture and pleasure born from withdrawal. If the answer is yes, then you'd know you were in jhana number 1. But what does rapture and pleasure born from withdrawal feel like? I certainly don't know. Maybe I could guess based on what sorts of feelings and images words like rapture or pleasure or withdrawal evoke. But then I'm really just comparing my actual state at this moment with my imagination. Or maybe, if I've accomplished jhanas number 1 and 2, leaving aside how I'd know I did that for the moment, I could compare my memories of those states with whatever I'm feeling at this moment. If I'm not feeling what I remembered feeling in those states, and if instead I feel equanimous and mindful and have a pleasant abiding, I might declare that I'm in jhana number 3. What's a pleasant abiding, you may ask? I'll be darned if I know. I'm not even sure what being equanimous feels like. I guess it feels kind of equal all over, or something. You tell me. I suppose I could make a vague guess as to what feeling neither pleasure nor pain would be like, but if I had to guess at that one, I'd guess that it feels kind of like normal. Like maybe the feeling you get on a day that's not too hot or too cold, while sitting on a couch that's not very nice but also not too bad, and watching a TV show that I neither enjoy very much nor hate. But how would I be certain if I'd accomplished jhanas 1 and 2 and hadn't made a mistake? Well, I guess I could ask my teacher, which would mean I could describe to him my memories of how I felt at a particular time in the past. This would invoke in him images and feelings associated with the words that I used, and he could compare those images and feelings to memories of his own past states of jhana and use that comparison to guess if I'd reached those states too. Then he could confirm my meditative accomplishments or deny them. And that's my trouble with the whole system. You can't rank these things. It's as I said, you're ranking imagination compared to real experience. And that's what comparing always is. You're always comparing what you feel right now to what you think you should feel right now. that's what often happens when people are doing meditation practice. They imagine a feeling of equanimous or pleasant abiding or whatever it is that they read in these books and things, and then they compare the feeling that they're having now with that imagination of what they ought to be feeling, and then go, oh, this is bad meditation. Or if it feels like they think it should, they go, oh, this is good meditation. But that's, I think, a really bad way to proceed with meditation. You really cannot rank these things. Now, there are examples in Shobogenzo in which Dogen does mention stream entry and arhatship and stuff like that. In Bendoa, for example, he says, "Some have entered into the stream of the Buddhist truth at the invitation of grass, flowers, mountains, and rivers," which is a very different way of saying it. It's not talking about attaining something, it's talking about noticing the natural world and thereby entering the state of Bodhi in that way. In his commentary on the Prajnaparamita Sutra, he says, "Shariputra, all bodhisattva mahasattvas, the independently awakened, arhats, those beyond returning, those who once return, those who have entered the stream, and so on, always attain realization by virtue of prajnaparamita." And in Dogen's way of putting things, prajnaparamita is always identified as zazen itself. So just doing zazen, whether you feel equanimous or whatever you feel, is the enactment of prajnaparamita, is the enactment of great transcendental wisdom. So that's what that means. And here is a footnote from Nishijima Roshi in which he mentions this. This is footnote number 55 in Raihai Tokuzui, which appears in the book 1 of Shobogenzo. And the footnote says, "The 4 stages of a Shravaka or intellectual Buddhist are as follows: Shrotapana, stream enterer; Sakadagamin, the state of returning only once; Anagamin, the state which is not subject to return; and Arhat, the ultimate state, which is called the 4th effect. An Arhat is a Shravaka who has overcome all hindrances and who needs to learn nothing more." In chapter 34 of Shobogenzo, Arakan, which is the Japanese pronunciation of Arhat, which is the highest of the stages, Master Dogen identifies Arhat and Buddha. Not Buddha, the historical person, but the whole concept, and that's the whole deal if you want to go read that. He also adds, Bodhisattva passes through 52 stages, 10 stages of belief, 30 stages classified as 3 clever stages, 10 sacred stages, and the balanced state of truth, and finally the fine state of truth. So there does exist in even Dogen's words and teachings a kind of ranking in these kind of levels. But Dogen doesn't pay too much attention to them. He kind of throws them out there for you to hear about, but he doesn't worry about trying to rank these things very much. And I think that's the Dogen's genius. And so all I have to say about the whole stream enterer thing is I don't want to disparage it, because I don't want to disparage a whole school of Buddhism out there. But at the same time, when you hear these words, I think it's good to kind of just take them as okay, that's something. But it doesn't really mean there are these ranks out there, that there's a distinct this, and then this step, and then this step, and then this step, and that it's a process of moving from worse to better. Whatever you have right now is the full realization of that moment right now, and that's what we're working on in Zazen practice. We're trying to see this moment as it is in the fullness of whatever it is, in which case any doubt you have or any feeling that you have that you're not quite getting it, that is also part of the perfection that is this moment, and that is also part of enlightenment. I went through a lot of stuff really fast, so I hope I didn't bowl you over with that. If you want to send me a donation so I can go through more stuff really fast, you can send it to the URL that's appearing on your screen right now. That is my onlyest way of making a living. That's all the money I get is what I get from you guys donating, and I really, really thank you for continuing to donate. But if you're having financial trouble, don't donate to me. It's not worth it. Keep it for yourself, but I'm really thankful to those of you who do have the wherewithal or the or the whatever, the stuff to contribute and can contribute. Thank you very much. See you later. Have a good time all the time. Bye.
Hello, Ziggy.
Are you enjoying me making a video? Oh, what's that sound? Is there another UFO out there?